Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? Look at that for a sight. This used to be the park I played in as a child, or a younger teenager anyway. Great times I had over here. These are all conker trees. We used to come over here for our conkers, bags of them. In the middle of here years ago used to be a public seating area, very notorious. This here was absolutely amazing. When I was about 8 or 9, this opened up as a roadway. It was a complete roadway system. It used to have traffic lights and zebra crossings, and over there used to be a filling station where the actual park attendants or the attendants for this playground was, and they used to join in. Very youth oriented, and there used to be petrol pumps over there that actually worked. Didn't put petrol in, of course, but the dials worked and everything. It was absolutely amazing. Then over the years it slowly died, and then many years ago they chopped it up. This used to be a back straight where everybody used to go absolutely crazy. You. How are you doing? All right? Good. Okay? Yeah, I'm all right. Lovely. Thank you.
All right, very good exercise.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
I think you can see that castle over there. I was sitting on a turret, this turret near us, because you could climb up them and get into the turrets, and I was sitting there and I could feel this strange feeling inside of my face, just under my ear, and it turned out the next morning that I woke up with the mumps. I always remember that, as clear as day. sitting on there thinking to myself, oh, that's strange. Okay, this is going to be a different ride today. I'm going to see if I can get down on the Canal. One of my favourite rides to do during the summer. Seeing it's a nice day, I thought I'd have a go at it, see if I can get in there. It starts off with a tunnel, but we as kids, and it was locally known as the Devil's Tunnel, because it goes underneath the main lot from Paddington up north, and it makes a hell of a noise when the trains go over the top, as you can see in the beginning there. Look. I just hope there's nobody coming the other way, because they can't get through with me in the way. I can't see to the end. There you go. Can I just squeeze by you, mate? Cheers. This wasn't here years ago. It all used to be fields, donkeys. It used to be a donkey farm, or a donkey sanctuary. It used to be full up with donkeys. We used to come over and feed them. Baby donkeys and everything, lovely. Also nearly lost my life over here. Up here used to be a railway line, sidings, and as kids we were playing over there, and we tried to let the side of a coal wagon down, and it struck me on the head. And I can always remember staggering back down that tunnel, head bleeding, pouring out it was, and the guy at the other end wrapped me in a sheet, put me in his car and took me to hospital. And everybody says that's why I'm a little bit strange nowadays. I was about 10 then, I suppose. I was about 8 when I found out I had mumps in the park. I got a very good memory of my childhood. I can recall the greater majority of it. Some painful, some good, I suppose, like everybody. I don't know if you can actually hear me very well, because the camera's in an enclosed case with just the back open, so I don't know whether you can actually hear me. I'll see if I can turn the sound up when I'm making the video. I'm heading for a place called Top Locks. Then we're going to go down the canal. Down here near the bottom, near the canal, used to be a row of cottages in the 20s, and just on this corner here, and my mother lived there when she was a child, about 1924, 25, something like that. Okay, If I remember rightly, I've got to go around the long way because I can't get down there. Should be interesting. This is a problem, that they've taken the gates off a lot of these that stopped me from coming down here for quite a while. Top locks. It's called social distancing. Now this is going to be difficult. I've done it once before. Right. Keep fingers crossed. You hack. This is top locks. This is the beginning of a set of locks that go down a hill from here. There's quite a few locks. This is on the way to Brentford, this canal. This is part of the Brentford canal system. All in.
All in. You gonna make it?
Yeah. These pods where the canal boats used to tie up to wait their turn to go through the lock, because it was very busy many years ago. It was like a highway. All the goods used to go by canal in its heyday. That's why it's so large. This one goes down to and then opens up into the Thames. You get through into the Thames on it. So you can imagine the sort of cargo that used to come down this way. You could go down here and there's a turn off quite a few miles down to Paddington. Beautiful, isn't it? And then you can go straight up to Oxford. Goes through Watford, Hempstead, up that way. Brilliant, beautiful ride. I've done it a few years ago. It takes quite a long time. It's quite surprising because it's not a direct route by canal. I'll tell you a story. We used to start up at the top lock we just come from as kids, and we used to shout out to the boat owners to give us the key to undo the latches on the locks to let the water in or let the water out, and they used to pay us to run down, or we used to get on the front of the boat and they'd bring us to about here, and then we used to run up there, see which way the lock was full or empty, and then do the business for them to open the gates to get in. And sometimes we'd meet kids coming up the other way and we'd actually fight to get our own boat through. On it. That's how we used to earn our pocket money on a Saturday in the summer. And we used to sit on the boats and go all the way down to the last lock and sometimes we used to take our bikes, and they used to put the bikes on the top of their barges, and we used to go all the way down to the last lock, and then ride all the way back up here again to the top locks if it was still early, to get another boat to come all the way down again. You used to get quite a bit of money, it was quite good. I mean, there was a lot of boats, a lot of barges in them days, so it was, you know, very busy. So when I was a kid, even then it was quite busy. They were more pleasure craft though than working craft. Used to get the odd timber. They still used or moved a lot of timber by barge. Sorry, ducks. There she is, looking really pretty. Right, okay, now this is an amazing bridge. This is a bridge built by Brunel. It's called the Three Bridges, because as you see it, across the top is the road. Let's get this out of the way. Across the top is a road, and then the canal goes underneath it, and then underneath the canal runs a railway track. So it's rail underneath, canal in the middle, road on the top. There's another interesting bit. I don't know if I can find it, if it's here. I can't find it. There used to be a piece of railway track driven into the ground back there.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome. I'll quickly get up so you can see. So that's the roadway at the top, the canal, and then you've got underneath here, you've got the railway track. So I don't know if you can see the structure there. Quite amazing. Thank you. Beside me you have the beginning of what used to be the asylum. Oh.
Thank you.
No, I'm not going mad, I'm making a video.
Oh.
Or barges. Yeah, it used to be asylum. Goes back, I think, to the 18th century. There's been a mental institution here. I don't think it is now. Most of it was sold off during Thatcher's time. They called it care in the community and pushed all the mental people out onto the streets to fend for themselves, basically, and they're still doing it now. Wonderful old estate though, amazing. Bit frightening. I can remember going in there to visit an aunt many years ago. I won't mention her name because she's still alive, and yeah, very frightening as a child. Another wonderful lock. Must be lovely to live in these houses. There used to be lock keepers' houses. They used to manage the locks. That was their job. They lived there. They opened and shut the locks. Because, like I say, there used to be a lot of traffic on here years ago. Beautiful things, so well constructed, and you can't beat them. That's why they're still here. They repair them. Some of the gates could be up to 100 years old. These levers to open the door, some of them could be up to 100 years old. They're made out of oak. I think the modern ones are made out of, they replace them with metal. Don't know how that can be cheaper. I suppose it can be in the long run. So it don't look as nice. I think that one back there was metal. See, the walls get taller and taller. The Victorians were always frightened of mental people. Used to hide them away. Beautiful rock. Look at that, that's superb. Beautiful morning. I can feel the hay fever though. I can feel it getting beyond my nose. I've had a squirt this morning of hay fever spray, but I can feel it beyond my eyes and the nose. Let's have a closer look. Let's show you what these look like. I'm getting better again. Get my muscles back in my legs. As you can see, these here, they open and shut the paddles to let the water around the outside that fills up. So what you do is shut the gate at the end, then open these paddles, this one here, oh there was one on the other side, yeah, one on the other side, which lets the water in that fills the lock itself, because the water has to go this way. It always goes this way, the water, all the way down the hill, and then once this is full up, you let up the lever, shut the paddles, open the door. These two lovely old. See, this one's metal. It's not as nice as the wooden one, but I bet they're original. I bet they're original gates. And then you open the gate, let the boat in, shut that behind you, and then you go up the other end here. Once this gate is shut, and you've got your boat sitting here, then you let the water out the same way. Now over there is containers that used to have lots of water in them to back up the canal. We used to shut these gates here and then open the paddles and let the water out. Again, you can see the paddles are actually at the bottoms of the gates, so it's these mechanisms here lift up the paddles on the gates. I think you can see them, and then the water rushes out underneath and then fills up. And sometimes when it's, I don't know if they work now, but many years ago when there was a lot of water and a lot of traffic, the water used to go into here, into like these overflows, to stop too much water going down to the next lock, because otherwise it would go over the top. So that used to sort of halfway down take up some of the mass, and then you'd fill the lock up from there rather than use the water behind to stop all the water from flowing down. It was a brilliant idea, fantastic. I mean, it still works, you can't better it. And so, like I say, these locks are over 100 years old. Beautiful. Spent many a summer day going up and down here. You had to be careful though, because 99% of the people were okay. Then you got the odd one that you knew you had to be careful of. Let's just leave it there, shall we? But that's how we grew up as kids. We were streetwise. Just knew when something wasn't right. and what to avoid and what not. Nowadays I haven't got a clue. Morning. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? Look at that for a sight. Absolutely phenomenal. You can see the water coming out of here, look, because these is some, when they open up the paddles up there, some of the water comes through here, so there's a channel underneath that lets the water out, so they're always sort of, you can always tell when there's a lock gate stuck open, because the water rises and goes over the top of the actual lock gate itself. Morning.
Morning.
Alright. Morning. Beautiful place to walk. It's a bit damp during the winter though when you're around here. Morning. Morning. Yeah, the structures, another gatekeeper's house there. The structures along the canal are quite amazing as well, like this little bridge here. This was one of many little cut-ins you got to businesses. Of course, like I say, all the businesses used to use the canals rather than the roads, and then there was lots of these little cut-offs. It's alright. How you doing? Alright? Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, so they used to be able to take their connect barges down to the businesses down here. I don't know what business used to be down there. Big one, I should think, because of the canal, size of the canal. So they could load their goods up and then come out onto the canal. I'll go down a little bit further, but I've got to come back because there's gates down here and I can't get any further. So I'll go down here and show you what all the barges are like. The end of the tarmac. Lovely little barges. That's superb, aren't they? Some of the barges had engines. Most of them were towed by horses earlier on, and then they introduced the engine, but a lot of them used to pull barges behind them, so there was 2 or 3 together. Used to strap 2 together sometimes because it's wide enough to do so. So you had one with the engine pulling the other one. Right. How can I get through here? This is a very old part of Ealing, or Hamwell I should say. These beautiful old houses. Some of these well over 100 years old. Morning.
Good mushroom as well.
Aha. Beautiful, look at that, they're beautiful. It was like a little village in its own years ago when these were built. Beautiful park. Amazing. here. So, I think some of these are Georgian houses, you know. I know they're late Edwardian, but some of them could have even been Georgian back there. I think the pub was Georgian. Some of these, I think, by the look of them, are early Victorian or mid-Victorian houses. Sort of middle-class houses, really, of the day. Lovely old streets. God, these places have seen some history. Eh? Two world wars. Amazing. Get in there, lovely. A lot of these places, though, you have to be very careful when you're renovating them, the older properties, because they were built straight down onto the mud. They didn't have footings like you would have today. So whenever you're knocking walls down and things to convert them, you have to be really careful. I mean, each house holds the other one up, and the ones at the end were like bookcases holding them all up. So you have to be very careful. Look at that, it's another, looks like another old pub. It was an old pub, I don't know what that could have been. That's a nice place, the newest though, that one, isn't it? Oh, I thought it was going to come by me. That's nice, but at least they kept that in situ with the ones around it. Even though it does look new, it looks part of the actual decor. Morning! And that one, I tried. Makes a change, doesn't it? Because, you know, I've never really been all the way down here. This whole place. I don't know where this comes out, actually. Snip down here, some of them. These are all modern houses, probably built during the 30s. By the look of them, probably fields. Oh, I think I know where I am. I don't know where I am. So this is Old Hanwell. was a village in its own right, Hamble. A hamlet, a village, then a little town, and then swallowed up by London, basically, as London moves out. They call it Greater London now. There's a lovely old, called the Viaduct. There's another Brunel building just over the back, which this pub is named after. Yeah, just over the back there is Brunel's Viaduct. You can see it. See it over there? I don't know how well you can see it. That was built by Brunel. It's Brunel's Viaduct, because this is a valley. Again, that's part of the railway line that runs out of Paddington and ran over where we started off in Devil's Punch Bowl, which is in front of us now. We've just come out of Hamble and we're in Southall. This is the Southall Hospital where they're all fighting like mad. Let's hope they're getting the PPE. Let's stop lying about it. This is all part of the Southall Asylum. This is the entrance to it. You can see Victorians made things very bleak. So that was the entrance to the mental hospital. I think the gate's open, so go and have a look. Amazing place. Now in front of you, look. Excuse me, I've got loads of pollen down there. Morning. In front of you was the old mental asylum. All this used to be fields where the patients could walk around. Quite amazing. Horrible pollen. I think the oak. I think the oak trees are pollinated now. That's, for me, some of the worst. I can feel it, the back of my throat already. Yeah, this used to be part of the asylum. Very Victorian. Very Dickens. Very Dickensian. A lot of it's been knocked down now. I think this is what's left by the look of it. So I haven't been over here for years. There was the old turret there. Used to keep inmates in there. You can see the windows. Not a very nice place. Around the back. One of the old oh yes, some more. Which they lock all the inmates away. Horror stories, really. Victorian horror story. But at least they didn't dump them on the streets like the Tories do today. Well, they were on the streets in Victorian days, but at least they had this place as well. More like the wealthy used to be able to afford to put them in Victorian days. If you were poor like nowadays, they just leave you on the streets. Call it care in the community. a wonderful saying, that, and it covers a lot of sin. Care in the community. Excuse me. Got some pollen in my lungs, I think. Not good.